10 minutes to the hour now. Reservists were used in Gulf War I. Or so says 100 emailers thus far in the last couple of minutes, and the research department figured it out, and it's the truth. Speaking of reservists, Greg Kelly is a Marine Reserve, but now he's hanging out with the Army. We've exhausted that series of jokes, so I'll leave it alone. But the other morning, Greg, when you were out there all by yourself and no other reporters around, just on Fox, it did a 5.3, by the way, and you were talking about this takeover that was happening. I listened as a man with whom you were speaking from the Army said, we're going to go over there and talk to Baghdad Bob, the Ministry of Information guys we've nicknamed him, and tell him we're here. Did they ever have that conversation?
They didn't. They wanted to, and there was a lot of excitement about it. They were thinking about dropping by the press conference as it was in progress to let them know, hey, United States Army is here. But they had a few other things to do. They had to go seize that parade ground, and that's when he started giving his press conference. That's when they really wanted to know where he was. It was over, I think, in about 2 or 3 minutes, so they never did have that rendezvous. They're hoping it's going to happen sooner or later. So do you want to check out Saddam's palace?
I do, but I want to ask you one more question. Just a quick follow-up, as they'd say, sure, at the White House, but that's not allowed. Just the follow-up is, though, wasn't it a short time? Because originally, the reports that you were getting on the ground there were that they had surrounded the Ministry of Information and they had surrounded the Al Rashid Hotel, but that surrounding didn't last very long. They ended up bugging out of there pretty quickly, didn't they?
Yes, and it's unclear whether they actually, in fact, surrounded it. They had a significant military presence in that area. Apparently, that press conference was happening at the Palestine Hotel, I believe. They had pulled out of the Al Rashid. They stopped doing them there a couple of days earlier, but there was a significant military presence there. They wanted to establish their presence, but, you know, in those initial hours, they had to think a lot about, you know, tactics on the ground, not so much about symbology at first. And now, it's a big part of it is about symbology, like the palace. You ready?
I'm ready. I like that, symbology. Go at it, my brother.
All right, well, look, we got here 48 hours ago. Mal, take a look at the front gate. You were probably watching, Shep, shortly after we got through, but we came through with about a dozen or so at first. M1 tanks busted right through that main gate. You can see on the ground that tanks aren't too friendly to Saddam's front lawn. We are not landscapers by any means. One tank busted right through this hedge line. Tanks have been operating, and Bradley fighting vehicles, other tracked vehicles all over the place. And there's a lot of security going on right now. You can only see a small portion of the military presence right now. This tank, believe me, it is not the only one. This place is surrounded, a lot of them back in that tree line. Mal, take a look over here at the palace itself. We went in there with you, Shep, you'll remember, shortly after we got here. The right side of the building is pretty much uninhabitable. That's where a JDAM hit. Now, the left side, that's where there are troops sleeping right now. There are American troops in there right now. We went in shortly after we got here. We were thankful that there were no Iraqis inside. But as you can see, there's kind of an air of permanence. We got soldiers kind of hanging out. If they're not on patrol, they come closer to the building. They can wash up. They can eat. They can relax a little bit. And they're doing this all on Saddam Hussein's front lawn. Now, not to forget, this is a military situation. Check out over here in the tennis courts.
Tennis courts.
I don't know if you can see those. Yeah, they're not serving. We're not playing any tennis right now. Those are Iraqi enemy prisoners of war being held right there. Now, they have been there for some time, and we get more of them from time to time. They weren't all seized. In fact, most of them were not seized on this compound. They were seized in the general area around here. Some of these guys who are not happy that we are here. We're told, though, that they are generally cooperating, generally well-behaved, no escape attempts or anything like that. Now, we stayed one night in the palace, Shep, and that was enough. It's kind of crummy in there. You know, you hear about the opulence and all that kind of stuff. Maybe it was at one time. We're back outside. Check out the Fox Hummer. This thing made it from Kuwait City all the way here. We're doing okay with it. It's kind of our shelter. Check out where we slept last night there, Mal. What we do is we throw a tarp on the ground. That was good enough for Mal James, photographer, and Ben Johnson, the engineer. I tried it out. I hate sleeping on the ground, so I went over to the hood of the Humvee. That's where Mal, I lost you. Hopefully you still have us. Anyway, hey, what are you guys putting on my bed anyway? There's my sleeping bag and but Mal's putting all of his other trash up there as well. Anyway, so we are here. We obviously have a presence here. So does the 2nd Brigade Combat Team. Although things look quiet now, there are patrols ongoing throughout the city. The 2nd Brigade Combat Team tells us that they really have accomplished the bulk of their mission. They're still dealing with these pockets of resistance. They're still waiting for the Marines to take the eastern side of the city. And believe me, tell Rick to be careful. A lot of these guys who have been giving us a hard time are coming from the east side of the city. Last night there was an amphibious raid. They came over in about 15 boats. That is considered to be a stronghold by the unit commander of Special Republican Guard forces and paramilitary forces. They all seem to be coming from there. So a lot of our attention is focused just east of here.
We've been able
to. What do you think, Shep?
That's great to hear. We've actually been able to get that information to Rick over the last few hours, it's my understanding. I think they're getting the heads up that you're sending. We're trying to all do a lot of communicating. Two quick things. Those prisoners of war over there, how are they being treated? What are they getting?
They're being treated fairly well, and you can actually see them respond well to U.S. troops. Take another look over there at the EPWs.
Not too close.
Yeah, right over there. They're given MREs. They're given water. Their hands were tied for most of the day. You can see that one guy, he may have his hands untied, but as far as I know, we haven't been over there in a few hours, actually since yesterday. We'll check it out, but their hands are tied. They're allowed to talk to each other, and they're looking to get these guys out of here. They kind of want to get them off their hands. EPWs are a bit of a logistics burden, but they're behaving fairly well. Apparently, they've been interrogated, and some have given some useful information, as have a lot of the other EPWs the 2nd Brigade have captured throughout this conflict.
Certainly can't hope our EPWs are being treated half that well. And the truth thus far is that the evidence suggests some of them have been treated completely differently. Man, Greg, hang in there, buddy. Can't wait to see you when you get home. Probably owe you a Pepsi and a side of fries or something by then. Be safe. Tell Mal hello. Even Ben Johnson. Appreciate it. Our coverage is continuing in just a moment. You'll get the headlines at the top of the hour, all the latest war briefs, and our correspondents in the field. That's all straight away. I'll see you tomorrow afternoon for Studio B, tomorrow night for the Fox Report, and right back here on the Overnight. I'm Shepard Smith in New York. Stay brave, stay aware, stay with Fox.